Sportsbook and Bar inside Treasure Island. It's Cofield Company.
It's Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Partying.
Yeah! All right, here we go. I scared that guy. I do it every time. Golden Circle Sportsbook and Bar, Treasure Island. Someone gets freaked out when I scream. Come on now. High energy time. Okay. We got the NBA celebrity game on. All-Star weekend. They pulled a switcheroo on us for college basketball, so we'll get you updated on the featured college basketball game tonight. The celebrity game is pretty interesting. They've got the futures game, or I guess the rising stars, right? Your guy, Julian Struthers, in that one, he was kind of a late invite. That's cool. Hometown guy.
Yes, notified the other day. We thought that he was going to be a replacement for Scoot, but Scoot's on the team. But I think he got brought up to the best team. So they have a good chance of winning it. I was just, you know what? More than anything, I was really happy for the fact that Lee Strother, Julian's dad, and his sisters, Paige and Paris, they were trying to figure out scrambling at the last minute, which you know how that can be last minute. Oh, man, we want to get up there. And then the Nuggets called and said, hey, don't worry about it. We got you. We're going to get you up there. And they took them. They're taking care of them. Yeah. So I'm just happy for them.
So far, in what I've been able to watch, this celebrity game is pretty fun. It was a little weird earlier. They were doing like strobe lighting, but now they're running up and down the floor.
Should we do a show strobe lighting?
No.
Okay.
I think one of us would be done. I'm not saying this as a dig because this generally happens every year. And anyone out there who tweets this, realize what you're tweeting when you say, I don't really know anyone in the Celebrity All-Star game. That means that's a you problem. Yeah. And it means it's a me problem. Because these are celebrities in some circles, mostly younger circles, right? So they're not going to have 60 and 70-year-old or 50-year-old stars of yesteryear in this game. They're people that young people know now. What do you think, Willie? Do you want to take a chance at it and see if you can name that you could admit that you know 5 of the 22? Or do we skip it?
Do you have the roster? I definitely know 5 of the 22. No doubt about it.
Okay, I'll make it easy. I'm going to go from the bottom on one of the teams. Rome Flynn. Just say yes, I know, or not.
No.
Tucker Halpern.
No.
Mickey Guyton.
No.
I did know her. She's a country music singer. Well, I'm not going to say star. Actor Danny Ramirez. I'll even give you what they are. No. Alicia Gray.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Well,
my favorite player in the WNBA.
Baron Davis.
Yeah.
Dylan Wang, actor. So you've got 2 so far.
No, I know who Danny Ramirez is.
Oh, you did? Okay, so that's 3. Masai Russell.
No.
Hurdler. Pablo Schreiber.
No.
Noah Kahan.
No.
That's the worst part. I'm mispronouncing names. And then it just says streamer Kai Sanat.
Kai Sanat. He's big time.
Okay.
He was just, you know what's crazy? He was just at the Super Bowl. He did that flag football. It was Team Kai, the celebrity flag football game that the local girl was in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I saw that I looked up some of them, that he had 7 million followers on YouTube. Let's
Ridiculous.
see. You're at 4.
Yeah.
Here we go. Other roster, Drewski.
Yep.
Comedian.
He was a guest referee at that flag.
Shabuzi.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got it. You beat me.
Rakea.
Rakea. Matt Barnes is in the game.
Matt Barnes.
Terrell Owens is in the game, so I knew that one. So there you go. Famous celebrities of today.
I'm surprised they didn't invite you or Adam.
Maybe when we get a team here in Vegas and there's an all-star game, I'm sure we'll be the coaches like Barry Bonds and Jerry Rice.
That would be dope.
2 megastars in the market.
That would be dope.
Yeah, not so much. That would be dopey, right? That was an Uncle Steve joke. Mm-hmm. I saw that Shaq, speaking of the NBA, I saw that Shaq got a raise. I think Shaq getting a raise is worse than Jimmy Butler getting a raise. Griffin, describe what happened in recent days with Shaq.
Yeah, so the last episode, I believe it was, of Inside the NBA on TNT. I remember I saw a clip of it on social media. They were signing off, and Shaq just goes buck wild, drops an S-bomb, then followed up by an F-bomb, basically telling Ernie, hey, F it. We're getting fired anyway. I don't give a S, to quote Marshawn Lynch. So you just throwing caution in the wind, and despite that TNT is rewarding him with $5 million more.
A couple days later, extension 15 mil per season for Shaq to do NBA analysis. Willie, Jimmy Butler got bumped from I think he got bumped up another 20 million on his deal after he threw a fit in Miami and then kind of got his way, getting a chance to go to GSW and play with Steph Curry.
I don't have a problem with it. Considering all the endorsements that this guy's got and the megastar that he's turned into, and on top of it, I mean, we're talking about a guy who, like, with car insurance, with the general sleep apnea mask.
Right. Then he should work for a discount.
Why? If Stephen A. Smith could demand and hold out and make such a big stink about his his presence on ESPN and whatever this First Take, why not? Shaq is just as big of a personality on that NBA for that show.
No,
Stephen A. You're crazy. You're
crazy.
Who's bigger?
Stephen A. is on every.
I said
Shaq.
on
he's
that
7'2", 350.
I said on that show. We're talking comparisons. I'm not saying he's bigger than Stephen A. On that show, he's like Stephen A. on First Take. Who's bigger, Barkley, Kenny, or Ernie? No, I say it's Shaq.
Now Barkley's bigger on that show.
Nah, I say Shaq's personality.
And I think day-to-day impact, Stephen A. has more impact on the sports television world, the sports
100%
talker world.
Yes, because it's every single day.
I don't dislike Shaq. But what I'm building towards here is this. There have been some discussions. I don't know if they're going to get any legs. We actually had this discussion with Dan Orlovsky, right? Name drop, Media Row. And we were asking, actually it was JVT, because JVT is a hoop head, and he likes hardcore breakdown of basketball. And John said, hey, in the NBA, should they be doing more stuff on TV like you guys do on NFL TV, which is break down more plays, like really cover the games and the ins and outs. I'm not saying Shaq and Barkley are the guys to do it. And this also, I'll piggyback this with, I thought JJ Redick made a good statement back in December, and he's like, why doesn't much of the media that is partnered with the NBA cover the games and the action on the floor instead of crapping all over the game all the time? Like, where's the enthusiasm for today's game? Where are the X's and O's? Now, the answer could be, hey, there's no market for that. I don't believe that. But I know Shaq and Barkley, they're not going to change. Frankly, I think what they do is entertaining, and them fighting each other is funny, but it's not really building the game, is it? In a positive way?
So they're always hating on the game is what he's saying?
I think JJ Redick is frustrated with the way the NBA is covered by the biggest personalities, and also the way it was covered when he was part of the media. And I think he tried to be a little bit smarter and nuanced and break down plays, but
he was an analyst.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're supposed to be non-biased and you're supposed to be critical.
Well, they're not analysts. You could never go to the screen and start breaking down plays. Like, Shaq, let's break down some post play here. Let's have a knowledge of someone sneaky on a roster, an eighth man who's actually really key to what a team does.
But that's not their shtick.
Okay, well then that's what he's saying. Maybe there's too much of that shtick instead of actual basketball.
Okay, so I think that I guess I get what he's saying, but that's what they do. But they also, I don't think that they completely are taking away from it and crapping on the game or crapping on the teams. I think that that's their shtick as to breaking it down. Just like with women's basketball, when they go back to the studio and you got Chinea Agumike and Andrea Carter,
right,
and they're breaking it down. When they have to be critical, they're just doing it in their style. So Shaq and that's just the way. So
why don't Shaq and Barkley do more of what Agumike and now I just blanked on the other name,
Andrea Carter?
Yeah, Andrea Carter, and I like what they do
because their repertoire is not hating on each other, and then all of a sudden one says the other, and they start threatening each other. That's not what they do. He's asking them to break character and just go straight-laced analysis. It's not what they've come to do. When it's on game day and they go at halftime, they break down the games, they talk about the game, but everything else, it's a show, it's entertainment. That's what it's been built up as.
Yeah. Well, I've said it before with Barkley being part of the college basketball, the NCAA tournament coverage. I don't find it entertaining, but to each his own. It's an outsider coming in and not prepared and whatever. I think the message being sent is that they believe most of the audience is too stupid to absorb actual basketball talk, which I think is sad.
That's your interpretation.
Yes. I don't know if you've noticed at the top of Twitter now, they'll have summaries on developing stories and the way stories are being covered. So Twitter had a summary suggesting that there is no excitement for this NBA All-Star weekend. I don't know that is the site to really gauge interest in the NBA.
Where is this at?
On Twitter. You can find, I don't know. Yeah, half the stuff that comes up on Twitter, I don't even know how I get it, but there will be story summaries.
Okay.
And if you look below on our rundown, I have some of the summary in here. One says 2025 NBA All-Star Weekend held in San Francisco has introduced a new tournament-style format to rejuvenate interest, but it appears to not have fully captured the public's attention.
Yeah.
Another one, while there was significant buzz around exclusive events like the Grateful Dead NBA collection launch at Pier 39, the overall engagement from fans has been lackluster. I mean,
I know what you're talking about.
Is that gauging the comments on Twitter? I mean, Twitter is a very different animal than lots of other places, and I don't know that Twitter is where a lot of teens, 20s, and 30-somethings who might like the NBA are going to stay around for very long.
You're knocking this new style of putting the summarization?
No, I like the summary.
Oh.
I just don't know how reliable it is. It'd be like
I know what it is.
I don't know. Yeah, the site Outkick.
Right.
Like, hey, let's do an NBA poll on Doc Travis's Outkick.
Yeah.
You're not going to get good feedback because the site generally is smashing the NBA.
Right.
And talking about ratings going down and audience is shrinking. And then, we read that for 4 years. And then all of a sudden the NBA is like, well, ratings are, it's tough. You're right, guys. But we're going to sign with 4 networks for $80 zillion. And we're going to tell TNT initially to kick rocks. But yeah, the game's struggling. Like, who do you believe?
Right. It's realistically, it's an AI summary. I now have it on this.
Yeah.
They've now started doing this on Cox.com, switched its mail server over to Yahoo. So now everything that you have with your Cox internet or whatever, it goes through Yahoo.
Right.
Now, when you get a new email, it gives you an AI summary. When I do my transcription, like if I'm done with Bruce Cassidy or one of the Golden Knights or a Raider or an Ace, it finished transcribing it. Before you open it, it gives you a summary. Speaker 1 spoke about this, and it summarizes everything for you. That's okay. The new thing. So I don't have a problem with it. The problem I have with is if they start doing it too. We talked about this earlier. You asking about aggregation and whether or not they're putting up false narratives just for the creators that are doing it. There are sites that are doing that for clicks.
Of course.
And so if you're getting the summarization for that, that's where things are going to start getting misled. And that's where problems arise. And so that part I do have an issue with.
Like Griffin this week sent over a story that was quoting JP Football. That Twitter handle is absolute garbage. It is an aggregator. Now, you can get some of your news from it, but you need to then follow up and see what the original source was, because none of them say, very rarely do they actually give the source. But, that's where we are right now. I will say the story I read, the summary, did stumble upon what I thought was a pretty interesting story. And this is red meat for the Twitter audience. And that was Caitlin Clark is not part of the 3-point contest, Willie, in the NBA All-Star Weekend. Rob Parker, who is still doing radio on Fox Sports Radio, ripped Caitlin Clark and said, how can she say no to the 3-point contest when the WNBA wouldn't even be around if it wasn't for the NBA? They have subsidized that league forever. Ratings this year, right? Guess how much money the WNBA lost this past year? $50 million. even with Caitlin Clark and her numbers. So the least she could do, or at least she could have done, was done a solid for her brothers in the NBA, which I find very interesting. The WNBA is still failing and losing money, but she owes it to the NBA, which apparently the NBA for the three-point contest needs Caitlin Clark from a failing league.
Right. I read the comment. Rob Parker is trying to create and stir with a logical sort of statement, but Caitlin Clark does not owe the NBA brethren anything and should have to show up to shoot in the three-point contest. Sorry, that does not even, I do not agree at all. If she doesn't want to compete in the three-point contest, she doesn't have to. She shouldn't feel pressured to do so. Now, guess what? If that's the feeling and the NBA is subsidizing off of the WNBA's loss, guess what? The WNBA players wanted specific things in the next CBA. We talked about that earlier, all these one-year deals that are coming up. Well, then Big Brother can step in and say, okay, with your CBA, since we're subsidizing and you want this, we also want a commitment in terms of presence for All-Star Weekend and specific events leading up to the WNBA season. That could be something that could be. But right now, sorry, they don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah.
Not individually.
Well, I'll also say for Team Caitlin, they've played this really smart by basically ignoring the big three invite from Ice Cube, the 3-point invite last year for the NBA, the 3-point invite this year. Because, Willie, you know what would happen. This is, for Caitlin Clark in the NBA 3-point shooting contest, it's a 99.9% lose-lose proposition. If she flops, then she gets destroyed. If she wins, and they do it like they did it with, that was Ionescu last year? Who did it?
Sabrina Ionescu against Stephen Curry.
But didn't she do it with the WNBA ball? If we go back, I think she had special rules. If Caitlin Clark wins with the WNBA ball and the WNBA 3-point line, the win doesn't count. That's what social media is going to say.
Oh,
she can't win.
No,
she wins, she loses, she loses, she loses.
It's going to no matter what they do, no matter if she participates, she wins, she loses, whatever it is, it's going to get crapped on. Just like, and I'm not just bringing this up because of who it is, but just like the day after the Super Bowl, the flag football commercial, as good as it was, the message that was being sent, of course, the majority are crapping over a 17-year-old girl and dogging her for the NFL's idea. And in reality, the message was not let girls participate against the boys in tackle football because they could beat them. It was legalize, or that's not the right word, put varsity sports in all 50 states, put flag football and varsity sports in all 50 states. But that got crapped all over off to something that was really good. It was a really good message.
Now, let me go back to the summary that I talked about the NBA All-Star Weekend not appealing to everyone. I do like what they're doing for Sunday, because here's the thing, and we've talked about this before. You can't have big events, whatever they are, big sporting events, big sporting leagues, elections, right? And keep telling people they're stupid over and over and over. My response to it is, hey, the NBA is not everyone's cup of tea. But you can't just keep saying, hey, they're just old people. They don't get it. They always hate the NBA. Like, you do have to make sure that you, number one, appeal strongly to your audience that you do have, and then maybe make some inroads with a new audience. And I did find it interesting, the story you sent over about talks with the players. Like, guys, you got to try. When you play in these All-Star weekends, you got to try.
Yeah, I actually heard that from the morning show, the same tweet. So I went and found the tweet because I thought it was interesting. Chris Haynes tweets out, the league and players union to meet together with players on Sunday prior to All-Star game to highly stress the importance of competing for fans and for the business. Basically play defense.
Yep.
Like it used to be. right? It's just like every year when the Pro Bowl comes up, we see the highlights from old Pro Bowls and defensive backs laying out wide receivers when the game was in Hawaii every single year. It's just completely gotten away from that. So, make it a little competitive. You want to have fun, yeah, that's fine. But I mean, you think about the one-on-one situations we had the year that Magic came out after he announced he was HIV positive, and he comes back. The year that they cleared the floor, it was Kobe versus Michael versus Magic, whatever. I mean, they at least showed some sort of competitiveness. And it got to the fourth quarter, and you'd see leads of 15, 20 points dissipate, and all of a sudden we had a fourth quarter coming down to the final couple of minutes. So I think that's what they want to get back to.
Willie, Cofield, Treasure Island, Golden Circle Sportsbook Bar here on a Friday. We come back, we'll get the roundup of the week around the NFL. The Raiders is behind the patch. Raiders insider and, of course, part of the company. Adam Hill is on the way.
Miss any part of your favorite radio show? Catch up at lvsportsnetwork.com.